So welcome to today's video. We are taking a look at this 21 full pen set from Sonnet. Sonnet is the student grade range watercolor line from the Russian brand Nevskaya Palitra, which also makes the Whitenates watercolors, which are their artist grade range, and they also make the Yarka paints, which I have no clue. Some say it's student grade, some say it's artist grade, some say it is something in between. I don't know because they are not really accessible in Germany, but I know a lot of Americans have Yarka paints as well, but they are all part of Nevskaya Palitra. You can get most of the Sonnet sets in those cardboard boxes, and we have this one set I know, which is in a metal tin. This is this one I have. They have folded edges, so no sharp edges here, which is a big plus. You have additional mixing space if you need it. I personally don't use the mixing space in the metal tins because I only work with ceramics or porcelain, which honestly any old ceramic or porcelain dish you have is usable as a mixing plate. So you don't have to spend a lot of money for that. Just open your kitchen boards and use something out of it. It doesn't have the second flip on the bottom for mixing. I haven't taken it away. It is like I've shown you. Some would call it a minus point. For me personally, it is a plus point because I don't like the additional flap because I don't use it and it only costs me much more space on my table. So this set is smaller because of it, and because of that, it was more interesting for me. I did bought it honestly because mostly of the tin, because you have not have the space for brushes in the set. And so you get a lot more pans in the tin than you would usually in the normal sized tin. What it is important to know is that the full pans from Nevskaya Palitra, it doesn't matter if it's Sonnet or if it's the White Knight brands, and probably also the Yarka, but like I said, I can't tell because I can't access them in Germany. They are not full-size full pans. So normally a full pan has 3 ml, 3 milliliter, and Sonnet and White Knights have only 2.5. So if you have empty full pans, they probably won't fit in well in this set. So you don't get the 21 full pans, normal sized full pans in this tin, just to be aware of. You will get full-size pan in. You have to press a little bit harder. I've tried it with a White Knights set already, so I definitely know. But you will get less pans in it in the tin. So now for the paints. As you have seen, I really only go in with a wet brush. I never pre-wet normal paints. So they re-wet super easily. You have a ton of color pigment on your brush, so that are very, very nice to handle in part of pre-wetting. The first color in my set, it is called zinc white. I have seen other Sonnet set where it is called titanium white. Both are made of PW4. They have a 3-star rating, and depending on the light fastness, with 3 stars is the highest in light fastness, and the zinc white is 3 of 3 stars. The second color I've swatched just now is the Hansa Lemon. They rated it with 3 stars in light fastness as well. It is a PY3. Important to know is PY3, there are different versions on the market. Some are super light fast and some are not. You don't know which one they have used. Mostly, I would say, with cheaper brands or student grade paints, especially in the cheaper sector like the Sonnet watercolors are, I would be careful to trust that it is really a perfect light fast color. The second color here was, or the third, better said, the yellow medium made from PY1. They rated 2 or 3 stars. I would rate it only with a 1 star because PY1 is a very non-light fast pigment. And that is the biggest problem I have with the Sonnet watercolors is that in the ranges between yellow, orange, red, and violet, you have mostly or nearly every color with non-light fast pigments because they are cheaper. Of course, the set is very cheap. It costs around the 24 set, I've just looked it up, cost around 22 euros for full pans. It is a lot of color. You can really, really paint a long time with it, and it is not very expensive, but you have to be aware of if you, for example, this 21 full pan set, you buy it and you need light fast colors, then you will have to buy at least additional yellow and a red or magenta, which is light fast. So this was the Yellow Deep PY2, also a non-light fast pigment. So they rated it with 2. I would probably go for more for a 1. Then we have the Gold Ochre, which is a mixture. They have rated it with 2 of 3 stars. I think that is correct. We have a PY43, which is a natural yellow iron oxide, which is a super light fast pigment. Then we have a PR102, which is a natural red iron oxide, which is also a very light fast pigment. But we have an additional PY2, like in the Yellow Deep, which is a not light fast pigment. So most of the color is light fast. I would say probably it will lose its very goldish shine, probably mute more to a classic yellow ochre if the PY2 vanish completely. So it is not a completely useless color. Just be aware of that. Probably it will not look like a gold ochre after a while, but probably more like, no, I think most it will lose the glow it has, more a muted yellow ochre kind of color, a darker yellow ochre because of the red ochre in it. So then we have the orange, which they rated correctly with 1 star, so not light fast. PO13 is the pigment they've used. I have a very old set where they haven't included the pigment information on this plastic card I have inside. So I have to look the pigments up in the internet. It seems that newer sets are provided with pigment information because I have seen a screenshot or photo of the information the company offers on probably the newer sets, just to be aware of. Then this is Red Light, PR2, which is also a not light fast pigment. They rated it with 2 stars. I would probably also here go for more like a one star rating. And then we have Carmine, which they also rated with 2 stars. Probably also would more go for a 1 star. It is a PR 170 column 1. This is the same pigment they used in the Carmine a few years back for the White Knights Carmine. So if you have old sets, you will have this pigment as well. I will put a link in the description box to my old White Knight sets review video, where I have still the PR 170 column 1. In the newer White Knight sets, they have changed this pigment for PV19, but in the Sonnet line, we still have the not lightfast PR 170 because, of course, it is a cheaper pigment than a quinacridone, a rose. Quinacridone pigments are more on the expensive side. So, of course, in cheap sets or in student grade sets, they often, especially in the cheaper student grade sets like Sonnet, they swatch pigments like that for cheaper versions. And especially in the area between yellow to red, which includes cool reds like magenta, we have a lot of not light fast pigments. So yeah, we often see pigments in cheaper brands or in cheap student grade colors, which you never will see in higher graded student grade lines or in artist grade paints normally. Like the PR 63 column 1 they used here in the Meadow Lake Red. Beautiful colors nonetheless, but not light fast. I rated it with 2 stars. I would go more for a 1-star rating here as well. Sorry. Damn it. So now we are going to the blues, and here we will have at least light fast versions. So you don't have to buy additional colors here if you are if you say light fastness is something important for you. We have here the azure. I couldn't find any pigment information for the azure because on the other sets I have seen screenshots or photos with pigment information. They haven't had this color called azure, but it is, I'm pretty sure, a phthalo blue because it looks just like your standard phthalo blue. So this 3-star rating should be fine. I can't imagine what else it should be. So I think that's all right. The next color is ultramarine light, PP29. So 3 of 3 stars is also correct. So we definitely have here, we have 2 different phthalo blues. We will get one additional one. So we have a warm and we have a cool blue, perfect for mixing. If money is really something where you can say every cent is important, then of course sets like this could be interesting. If you say light fastness is something which is still important, you definitely will have to buy an additional primary magenta and a primary mixing yellow, which is light fast, while you don't have this in the set. Of course, there are cheap brands like Cotman or Van Gogh, where you can buy single paints for a very cheap price. For example, the Van Gogh tubes with 10 milliliters in it in Germany costs €3 each. So that is a really, really cheap price for a lot of color. And you can mix with only a primary magenta and a primary yellow or a good mixing yellow. I prefer a nickel azo yellow or quin gold or green gold PY 129 to standard lemon yellow because they are transparent yellows, and I think it is I like it more as a mixing yellow as my primary yellow because you get cleaner color results and mixes from it. But you will get this from brands like Van Gogh, at least the PY 129, for example. You will get a version of Quin Gold from it as well. So that is something I personally prefer. Of course, that is just a taste preference, but there are definitely options. So the last blue is just called blue. It is a PB 15 column 3, so your standard phthalo blue green shade, which is the most used phthalo blue and also the one recommended mostly as a cyan version 3 or 3 stars. This rating is correct. Now the color I'm swatching now is bluish green. They've rated it with correctly with 3 stars. It is a mixture of phthalo blue PB15 and phthalo green PG7. So definitely a light fast, very beautiful color, which really surprised me that it get so dark. You really in the darkest area it looks black, so the pigment load is pretty high for such a cheap student grade paints, which yeah, honestly surprised me. Then we switch to violet. We have here the violet light. They rated it correctly with 1 of 3 stars. It is a PV2, definitely a not light fast pigment, although it is a very beautiful violet, I must say. In when you are not looking at the light fastness rating, when you are looking at how the colors look, the quality, how they appear on paper, and how they are behaving when you are working with them, I have nothing negative to say for a student grade paint. They are really, really behaving awesome. You can easily paint with them. They work not against you like some other colors do. So the the biggest issue I only have with the colors is the light fastness. So if money is a big factor for you in buying a watercolor set, and you say, okay, this one definitely has a beautiful selection of colors, and I don't necessarily need light fast colors, then this is definitely a nice set to have. It has a good color selection. They are behaving really, really well. It's very easily to revet. Very high pigment load for a student grade set, and yeah, it is super nice and easy to work with. So the biggest point is just the light fastness rating, but you still can use it if you're saying you are working uh, with watercolors and then scan your work and, for example, only sell prints. You can still use it very nicely for training in watercolor techniques or training in color mixing to have a cheap alternative to your good colors. Also, a good choice for using in sketchbook works, for example. But if light fastness is something where you say you really are, that is a really important factor of you, and you don't only want to have 1 or 2 light fast primary colors, but you want to have a big arrangement of light fast colors, then I would rather advise to buy a set from Rosa Gallery, for example. There you have with a little bit more, like for around 30 euros, you can buy a set with full pans, which also contains 2.5 milliliters in artist grade quality, and nearly all of the colors are, or most of the colors are light fast. So depending on which set, of course, you buy, yeah, that would be the one I would advise. Or if the money isn't that big of a point, then invest a little bit more and buy, for example, a set of Rosa Gallery or the artist grade from Paul Rubens when it's on sale, which is also very, very good quality, very good in light fastness, and not so much expensive than other brands. So going back to the colors, the first color in this row is Violet Deep. They rated it correctly with 1 of 3 stars in light fastness. It is a PV3. This is a very common cheap alternative to dioxazine violet, and you will see this color or pigment a lot in cheaper brands. Sadly, it looks the same, but it is super non-light fastness. So non-light fast, sorry. Then we have emerald green, which is your pretty standard PG7 phthalo green. 3 of 3 stars is correct. Very light, fast pigment. I know a lot of people say it looks too artificial to use in landscape, but it is a super base for a mixing green. Add burnt sienna, a burnt umber, or light, fast orange to it, and you will get beautiful, natural-looking greens, beautiful olive greens. So for me personally, it is a very underestimated pigment. Great mixing color. Then we have what they call sap green, which is for me more like a May green. Definitely not a sap green, in my opinion. Very bright, more unnatural looking green color. It is a mixture from PG7 and PY3. They rated it with 3 of 3 stars, but I would be a little bit careful because of the PY3. Then we have a very rare color. They call it green deep. You will also find this pigment in the White Knight line and the Rosa Gallery and Rosa Studio. I'm not sure if Roman Schmal offers it as well. It is a PG8. It is a very rare pigment. Not a lot of brands offer it because it is not a very light fast pigment. They rated it with 2 stars. I would say 1 to 2 stars, somewhere there. I really, really love the color. It is so beautiful. It is a transparent, very natural, dark looking green. And I like to use it a lot in artwork where light fastness isn't important. But yeah, just to be aware of. It is not a light fast pigment, but it is a rare pigment because not many brands will offer it. Then we have a burnt sienna, which is surprisingly a single pigment PGR7, because most brands, which are on the cheaper side, use a PR101 because it is much more cheaper than the PBR7. So we have a PBR7 here, a very nice one. 3 of 3 stars is correct. Also, the pigment load here on the color and also on the burnt umber I'm swatching now is very high. So really, really a big plus for Sonnet. The burnt umber I'm swatching now is also 3 of 3 stars, and it is also very surprisingly a single pigment PBR7, which is very unusual for cheaper brands because they mostly like to water it down with a cheaper PY42, which changes the color a lot and also makes it very opaque most of the times. And that are combinations I really don't like. And you still have artist grade brands like Daniel Smith or Winsor Newton Professional, which not offer a single pigment PGR7 burnt umber. For example, the Daniel Smith versions has 3 different pigment mixed to it. So it is really a super plus for me personally that a cheap student grade paint set like this Sonnet, like Sonnet offers you a single pigment PBR7. So the blues and most of the earth tones are completely okay to use. We have the emerald green and the bluish green as well, which are also completely safe to use. Sadly, in the lamp black here, they have added 1 not light fast pigment. They rated it with 3 stars. I would probably be careful because of the red. They added a PR 63 column 1 in here. The main ingredients is PBK7, then we have the non-light fast red, and then we have a PB15. So the PBK7 is a carbon-based black. It is a very light fast pigment, and also of course the PP15 is also light fast pigment. So I'm not quite sure how the color looks when the red part vanishes completely, but it will still be some kind of bluish black or dark gray or black color at least. I never tested it, but yeah, it will still be somewhere in that area. So it is at least, if you are working with it with that in mind, or try put a swatch in your window for a while, and then you see how the color looks afterwards, because the main ingredients is still are light fast pigments. So like the gold ochre, you will have a little bit of a color change and maybe a little bit lighter color, but you will still have a usable color if you are keeping that in mind and know how the color looks when the not light fast pigment is fading. Just to be aware of. So I will now show you, of course, as always, close-up look to the dried swatches. And I honestly would really be interested in, do you have a set of Sonnet colors? And what are your experiences with it? Or after watching this video, is it a brand where you say sets would be interesting for you to buy or not? I am not sure if you can buy single pans, or if they even offer tubes. I never heard of tubes in the Sonnet line. I only know the pan sets. I'm not sure if there are countries or places where you can buy the single pans. Here in Germany, they aren't available in a single pan version, so you only can buy the sets. Like I said, most of the sets are in cardboard boxes, which of course is a way to save a lot of money for the brand. So they are able to offer it more on the cheaper side. Or you, like I, could buy the tin version, which is a little bit more expensive, but of course also more sturdy than a cardboard box. Like I said, from the quality, how they look on the paper and how they perform when you're working with them, it is a good student grade paint, and you won't be disappointed in the look or in how they are behaving when you are working with them. But of course, light fastness is a big point here, because you don't have a light fast yellow, you don't have a light fast red. And of course, that limits your color range a lot, because you are missing 2 or 3 primary colors in a light fast version. It would be nice if brands like that offer at least one yellow and one red in a light fast version, so you have at least a little bit of possibilities to work in department of making a light fast artwork. So that is definitely the biggest minus point I have. And that is why I personally, if you would ask me, when you're starting out and you have additional $10, euros, around that kind of money, around 10 bucks, then I would rather go for a Rosa Gallery watercolor set, which you have the higher quality because it's artist grade, and also light fast colors, because most of the colors they include in their sets are light fast. So you definitely will have light fast yellows, light fast blues, and light fast reds, which doesn't limitate you in your coloring, and that is definitely the better choice. If you want to have a cheap set just for training watercolor techniques, for sketchbook works, or for training in mixing colors, where you don't want to use your good artist grade colors or your more expensive colors, then this would be an interesting set in my personal opinion, as well as other Sonnet or Rosa Studio sets. I think the Rosa Studio set I will put a link in the description box below to the video, because this one is I've bought it even cheaper than this one. And also I will put a link to Amazon to this specific Sonnet and other Sonnet sets in the cardboard boxes on Amazon. That will be international links, so it will open the sets on your country's Amazon site, if you say that is something you are interested in buying. Yeah, please let me know your opinions or your experiences with the Sonnet brand. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it was interesting and helpful for you. And like always, I would be super grateful for a thumbs up or a follow, because it helps me and the channel so much. Yeah, hope to see you soon in another video, and have a very nice day. Bye bye.